Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Now with Great Millstone, El Paso Borderline Saints. Welcome to another video, and as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise and all glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rekah, Kodash. Also, I want to give double honors to the head apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all sincere Akim. Keep believing and keep the faith, regardless of whether they hear or whether they forbear. All right, and we're going to be going into our lesson here this afternoon in Genesis, the second chapter. And we'll get started there, and we'll stop when the Lord see fit. So it reads, Genesis 2:21, and the Lord, Yahweh, caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord Yahweh had taken from the man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. So there we have it. The Lord created Eve, who would become a helpmeet for Adam. All right, Adam being the first man that the Lord created out of the dust and dirt of the earth. All right. And then it says, and the rib which the Lord Yahweh had taken from the man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, who shall be called woman, because she was taken out of the man. So she was taken out of the man and created for the man. All right. So that's how Adam, the Lord took a rib out of Adam and created Eve and created Adam a helpmeet. All right, because Adam was in the Garden of Eden and he was lonely, and the Lord saw his loneliness. So he created a woman known as Eve. All right. And it reads, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So the Lord said a man should leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and they should be one flesh. So in the sight of the Most High, Yahweh, the man and the woman were one flesh in his sight. All right, they weren't two separate people. They were one flesh. All right. So the two work together, and that's called making her his wife. All right. And when they were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. All right. So they were not ashamed. All right. So they were pure, walking through the Garden of Eden. All right. And then it says, now the serpent, this is Genesis, the third chapter and 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So the Lord commanded Eve, all right, that ye should not eat of every tree of the garden. All right. And now the serpent was talking to Eve. And the reason why he went and spoke to Eve first instead of Adam was because he knew that Eve was a weaker vessel and that she was created for the man. All right. And so the man had dominion over the woman and cared for her. But Eve was listening to a serpent. All right. And when it refers to a serpent, this would be a person that is wicked. All right. That's who she was listening to. All right. And then it says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. All right. So she knew what the Lord had told her and Adam to do. She had a clear understanding of that she was not to eat of the tree that was in the midst of the garden of Eden. All right. Because she knew that the Lord had said unto the woman, you shall not, that if you eat of it, that she would die. Even if she touched it, she would die. So the Lord told her, you shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. All right. And that fruit was the fruit of knowledge. All right. All right. And it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For the Most High does not know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. All right. So that's what I just said. It was, she would become knowledgeable of good and evil. All right. But the Lord had told her, don't eat of that tree, because the Lord's purpose was that she would be a God that would live forever. You see, her and Adam. All right. And that they would just live in the Garden of Eden, in paradise. They were in a good state, you see, of just holiness and righteousness. All right. And the Lord was providing for Adam and Eve and the beast of the field and all the things that the Lord had created and that the Lord had given Adam dominion over. And the woman was a helpmeet in that case. All right. And it says in the 5th verse, I'll read that again. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So there you have it. They disobeyed the Lord. All right. Adam listening to the woman. All right. And they disobeyed. All right. And it says, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So they started trying to cover up what they had did. They had been disobedient to the Lord. So they're trying to cover up. All right. And then it says in the 8th verse, Genesis 3:8, and they heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. So there they were hiding, because they knew they had did something wrong. All right. So they went to hide and covering up, putting on, got fig trees and covered up their bodies and so forth, you see. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? So the Lord knew that Adam and Eve were hiding. So he called out to him, where are you? You see? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. So he told the Lord, I hid myself because I'm naked, and I have no clothes on. All right. See, so he had become knowledgeable and abominable at that point when he recognized that he was naked, you see. And it says, And he said, and the Lord said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? You see, so the Lord asking Adam and Eve, have you all ate of the tree that I told you not to eat of, the tree that was in the midst of Eden that I specifically told you not to eat? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. So the woman answered, she started blaming, got into the blame game, you see, and admitted that she had been beguiled by a serpent, and that she had eaten and given it to Adam, and he had eaten. And therefore, this is when it became a problem. A gulf came in between man and the Most High. See, because at that point, when they disobeyed what the Lord told them to do, which is the Lord's first law that he gave to them, that they should not eat of the tree in the midst of the Garden of Eden. So they disobeyed that first law. All right. And then it says, and the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. So the Lord cursed the serpent. All right, Satan, you see. And it says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So the Lord cursed Satan. And then it goes on to say in the 16th verse, still in Genesis 3rd chapter, 3 and 16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. So the Lord said, your desire is going to be to your husband. Your husband's going to rule over you because you were the weaker vessel, and you disobeyed the Lord from the beginning, okay, before the man. So the Lord put the woman into subjection unto Adam. And it says, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire should be to thy husband, he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife. See, so Adam hearkened unto the voice of his wife. He completely forgot or disobeyed what the Lord told him to do, as men and women do today. You see. And it says, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. All right. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. You see, so the Lord had cursed them both. See? And they had to eat from the fruits that was from the ground. All right. Among thistles and thorns. So it became a problem there where they would, in order for them to eat, they would have to till the ground or find a way to get their food out of the ground among thorns and thistles. This was work that was created that they had to do to be able to eat, you see. All right. And it says in the 19th verse, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So death came into the picture at that point because they had disobeyed the Lord. And that's what happens with women and men when they disobey the Lord. That's exactly what happens, you see. It brings, a child is born, and then they go back into the ground. They go through death. But originally, had not Adam and Eve sinned, they were born and to live forever. They were in paradise. You see, they were perfect before the Lord. A spirit of holiness and righteousness. You see, all those good things that the Lord had stored up for them. And it goes on to say in the 20th verse, and Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. So that was her name, Eve. Unto Adam also unto his wife did the Lord God make coats of skin and clothe them. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become one of us to know good and evil. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So you see, so the Lord is talking to angels in the kingdom who were there, his son and angels and so forth that were in the kingdom who had assisted the Lord in creating the heavens and the earth, you see, and mankind and women and all the fish of the sea and all of that, you see. So the Lord had a heavenly host of help when he created everything up under the sun and up under the moon. All right. And it says, therefore the Lord Yahweh sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he was driven out, the Lord driven him out of paradise, out of Eden. All right, he was in a perfect state. Now he has to go out in the world and deal with the world. So he drove out the man and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So he placed an angel there so that he would not be able to go back into Eden. Him and Eve were driven out. All right. And then it goes on to say in the 4th chapter, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. You see, so they began to go ahead on and bear children as the Lord allowed the woman to suffer the hard birth of bringing a child into the earth. See, so the children started being born of Adam and Eve, you see. And this was the curse that on her, that she would bear those children in pain. All right. So that's how this whole thing began. Now, the problem that we have today is that here we are in 2025, and man is still doing the same thing, and women are still the weaker vessel listening to the devil. And here we are in this 4th beast kingdom, the daughter of Babylon, that was also prophesied in Daniel, the 7th chapter, of this great beast, the 4th beast, which was the greatest of all the beasts, and the beasts being different nations and the horn of nations, such as NATO. All right. And women are doing the same thing that they were doing from the beginning of time. Okay, disobedient to their husbands, won't listen. They're still doing the same thing, and this serpent is talking to the woman and has her getting involved in things that go against the laws and commandments that were given to Israel. All right. And so there you have it, a problem there where the women are dealing with different laws that say that they can allows women to sleep with women and men to sleep with men, all this type of wickedness. You see, you got this woman's liberation, which basically gives her the right to go out and be a whore. But see, when the Lord created the man and the woman, she was created to be his wife and a weaker vessel. But some women have become so influenced by wickedness. I've heard of women who had it made. They had a husband who went out and worked, took care of the home, took care of the children, and she sit at home watching TV and become bored, you see, and start cheating on her husband, and he out working, you see, because she become bored. She listened to the Prince of the Air on television, watching women running after rich men and all of that, committing whoredoms, and she allows that spirit to overtake her mind. You see, the Prince of the Air, it's the same devil, still working today here in 2025 in this beast nation. And the woman, what does she do? Disobedient to all the scriptures, because the serpent is talking to her. And even today, she's up in the pulpit at these false churches and under these false prophets. Supposedly, she's a preacher, you see. And the Lord didn't tell her to do that. So she's disobedient, you see. She's doing all this wickedness. And there's you have to pay for that when you disobey the Lord and you don't do his will and keep his laws, ladies. There's a recompense behind that, you see. And the same with Satan that's out there. He has to pay for that, because that's what he's pushing on the air, through social media and all of that. You see, wickedness. All right. So ladies, I would say that you need to get back to what the Lord told you to do, to be obedient to your husbands. You're the weaker vessel. You sinned first, and the Lord saw fit to put the man over you, not you over him. All right. And so you know what's right, without sleeping with women, that's not right. All right. And this serpent out sleeping with, a man sleeping with another man, completely wicked. You see, and the Lord's going to pay you for that the same way he paid Adam and Eve in the beginning of time. All right. So there we have it. That's the lesson for this afternoon. Just wanted to go into that and make sure that you realize your wickedness, all right, and that you have to pay for your wickedness, all right. So be holy, be righteous. You know what's right. You know what's written. You've heard it. If you haven't read it, go and read your whole Bible, and you'll be able to see what the Lord's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, what his laws and commandments, statutes and judgments, ordinances and precepts are, by reading and studying these holy scriptures. And after you've done all of that, then you want to sit up under a holy and righteous preacher to break it down to you. Okay, get on. If you're bored, get on your YouTube and listen to this gospel that we're putting out. We're putting out videos for you to listen to, for you and the man. All right, so you won't be so wicked, because you're evil. All right, and the Lord sees that, and he's going to recompense you for that. All right, so we're going to stop this lesson there. Men, likewise, love your wives. All right, he didn't tell you to love he didn't tell a man to love his husband, nor did he tell a woman to love her wife. All right, that's not written in the Holy Scriptures. All right, so we're going to stop there, and we're going to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekach, Kodash. All right, we'll stop there until next time. Shalom.